Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I went to a cat birthday party with 8 dead murderers. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. The lesbians are here.
We're dorking out about 1977's The Sentinel. This, not only because it's hashtag Scary Movie Month, thank you, F this movie, for that, but because it's featured in Margo's new book, which is out. Like, you could purchase it. It's called Filmed in Brooklyn. And do you want to tell them a little bit about where The Sentinel was filmed?
It's filmed in Brooklyn Heights. The location is 10 Montague Street. It's an amazing building. I think it was built in 1850. It overlooks the city. And if you go around that area, there's tons of places where movies were filmed. Moonstruck House is nearby there. Just tons and tons of movies. There's lots of tourists that are there. And you can actually, if you're interested, you just type that in. There are co-ops in that building. And it's incredible. I think it's not even that expensive for New York. It's like $500,000, which is not bad for New York.
Like, yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's not bad. I mean, you know, there are places that sell for, you know, I think Amy Schumer paid $12 million for her home for the Moonstruck House around the corner. So
Amy Schumer bought the Moonstruck House?
I didn't tell you this?
No.
Amy Schumer bought this Moonstruck House, which is just
Damn.
around the corner. Yes.
No? All right. I hope she takes good care of it.
So do I. And it looks the same, except it doesn't have all that ivy on top of it, but it's on the promenade and it's just gorgeous. And I saw this movie when I was a kid and it terrified me. I didn't see this in the movie theater, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those movies you see when you're really young and it kind of sticks with you. And then over the years, I've talked to people about the movie and you kind of laugh at it, but you have a fondness for it. And there's just this fondness for like cheesy 70s movies.
Yes.
And there's also like things that I didn't understand when I was young, when I saw the movie as an adult, as a New Yorker. And I think probably, you know, you live in San Francisco, like $400 for a furnished apartment. Like, oh, it has ghosts. What do I care? Like,
Right. Worth it.
It's the portal to hell. Well, I'm already in New York. Like, what do I care? It's the 70s.
It's like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Can handle that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So that's the movie that we're talking about today, and I feature it in my book. And by the way, Robin from F This Movie gave me a quote about it.
Oh, nice.
So you can read her quote in my book.
Oh, that's awesome. We love
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so proud of Margo's book. Like,
Thank you.
just excited. And so I had never seen this movie. This was a first time watch for me. And I want to say that the cast of this movie is stacked. There's so many people. Like, first of all, Chris Sarandon's in it. The lead, and he has top billing, although he's not really the lead. The lead is this woman named Cristina Raines, who I don't really recognize her from anything else. But then we have like John Carradine's in there, Eva Gardener, Burgess Meredith, Eli Wallach, Christopher Walken, like a young, hot Christopher Walken. My favorite, Jerry Orbach, with like a full head of like dark hair. I was like, what the fuck? Because Jerry Orbach is one of those actors where I was like, he was just born old, right? Like,
No.
But he wasn't. No, he's not born old. And so to see a younger Jerry Orbach to me was like, oh, what a fucking treat. And then we get Beverly D'Angelo shows up in there.
Her first movie.
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum.
One of his first movies.
William Hickey. Tom Berenger.
One of his first movies.
What the fuck?
Sylvia Miles. She was like
so
a
many
Warhol
people.
person. I mean, it is, like you said, stacked end to end. Jose Ferrer.
Yes.
It's stacked end to end with character actors, with just movie stars. It's kind of like in 70s, they had like a lot of these movies like
Yes.
Towering Inferno
Yes.
and that were just movie star like tons and tons of famous people and character actors. There was The Omen and The Exorcist. So there were horror movies that made a lot of money.
Yes.
And so people thought, well, we'll just put a lot of famous people and we'll have a horror theme and we'll just make a lot of money. And it's like, you also need a decent story.
Yeah.
Do we have one here?
Did you read the book? This is based on a book. No, you're all no. I ain't got time for that.
I don't have time for that. I mean, can I tell the story?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I mean, it's about Cristina Raines, and she was in a show when I was very young called Flamingo Road.
Oh,
it was my introduction to Mark Harmon, and it was one of those shows. Oh my God, he was
so handsome. He's still handsome. He's still handsome.
He aged like fine wine.
Yeah, he's very handsome.
It was a show with him and Morgan Fairchild, who is like one of my favorite people to follow on Twitter. She's like a total advocate for like the right causes. She's amazing and loves animals and stuff. And she looks great. But it was like this nighttime sexy soap, and Cristina Raines was like the hot chick on there, the hot brunette. And Morgan Fairchild was like the bitchy hot blonde.
As always.
Cristina Raines plays this. She's kind of like the Kate Jackson in the movie.
Yes. Yes.
She has the wedge haircut, and she's the model. And she's a model that has her boyfriend is Chris. He's Chris Sarandon at the time. And Chris Sarandon had done Dog Day Afternoon before this.
Yes.
He wasn't a big star yet. And he's a lawyer, and you find out that they're living together, and they've been living together for a couple of years. And all of a sudden she's like, I need my own space.
Okay. It's so weird.
It's so weird because she's like, I need space. He's like, let's get married. I need space first. They've been together for a couple of years. She just got out of a sanitarium at some point.
She's fucking breaking up with you, dude.
Yeah.
She's like, I need, instead of getting married, how about I get my own apartment?
Why don't I go to Brooklyn, which in New York at the time was ghosting you. Like you did not go to Brooklyn. This was Saturday Night Fever time. You went to Manhattan.
Right.
And I'm from Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn, but that was not the direction.
It wasn't cool.
Went.
It wasn't cool then.
No. And especially Brooklyn Heights, it's like families and older people. And I say that with affection, but that's not where a hot model. And first of all, they introduce us to her, and she's beautiful.
Yes.
And I mean, not a speck of makeup sometimes. Like she just looks great.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Gorgeous. And she has like campaigns for like top brands. And then she's like on the cover of all these magazines, including People. So I'm like, she's famous. But then she's also was in a sanitarium because she attempted suicide. And then you find out that his wife died at the time that he was also dating her. So he was cheating on his wife for her, and she felt bad about it because the wife died. And anyway, so she's going, like there's something up here. So she's going to Brooklyn because she's like, I need my own space. And then she's like, but I can only afford to spend like $400 a month. And I'm like,
what? I was like, she's fucking famous. Like, she's on the cover of like all these magazines. She's supposedly famous, but no one knows who she is. And
nobody asks for her autograph. Nobody recognizes her.
Right.
And
then she, the $400 a month is,
So Michael is looking for an apartment, but he's looking for a bigger space, but he will only he won't pay $1,000 a month. And it's like, LOL, for like a doorman building and all these things.
I paid a little bit more than that for a studio apartment in San Francisco back in the day. Oh
my God, I swear. So she is looking around Manhattan. It's not going to happen. Her best friend is Deborah Raffin, R.I.P. That's her best friend, Jen.
Yes.
So she's very chic. Like, I love all the fashions. Like,
I love the clothes. Like, it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. So she finds this apartment in Brooklyn. That's the Sentinel, the building, and Eva Gardener, of all people, who I adore, is the real estate agent. And she shows her this place, and it's stunning. And it's huge.
Yes, it's huge and furnished.
Furnished. And it's gigantic ceilings and original structures and staircases and gobsmacking, as my friend Margo says.
Yes.
Just all the details. And she's like, it's $500 a month. And it's furnished, like we said. And Cristina Raines like, nah. She goes, oh, I meant 400. 400. Is 400 workable? And she's like, okay, where do I sign?
And a $50 deposit.
$50.
Yes.
Which is like $200 nowadays or something.
Yes.
I mean, and she signs the check, gets the keys, and she moves in. And I guess all she needs are a couple of suitcases because everything's there. I mean, she doesn't really need anything. And she meets. So there's this group of people that live in this building.
Right. Well,
and it's
first, like, there's a whole thing where her dad dies.
Right. So I forgot about
Yeah.
that. So that's a big story because, right, her father dies. It's terribly sad. She has to go back to Baltimore, and I guess she's from a hoity-toity family. And that's another thing. Like, didn't he leave her any money? I guess it's too soon to find out.
Yeah, that I don't know. They certainly don't make that clear. They make it clear that their relationship was fucked up. Like,
yeah, he's a mess. Like, she's a mess because of him.
Yeah, there's a whole thing where, like, she remembers coming home from school when she's a kid and I guess walking in on his gangbang. I was like, what
orgy? Or was it a throuple or something? He's with a couple of chicks.
Yeah.
It was a threesome. And he gets mad at her for walking in on them and like yelling at her. And she turns around and she's playing herself as a teenager. She turns around, runs down the hall. And we should also say trigger warnings. Like she attempts suicide and he finds her. And then that's like, I guess the first time she tries suicide and goes to a mental facility. So she's had some instability in her life, let's say. And then you fast forward, then her father dies. And so comes back and then she's living with Michael and she goes, I got to live on my own for a bit. I got to be on my own. And she needs to get away from Michael because
yeah. And there is a scene where she's chatting with her mom and she's like, why would you stay? Why have you stayed so long? And she's like, well, I didn't have anywhere to go. So then she comes back from the funeral and she's more adamant than ever that she needs her own place. And I think she even says, like, I need a place to go.
Right.
Like, you know, she's aware that maybe shit's not going to work out.
She's dependent and she wants to be independent.
Yes.
She wants to figure herself out.
Yes.
Like, I'm making a living with my looks and my youth. I better take advantage of it and have some stability. And, you know, she's not a drug addict. She doesn't like all these she's not into the party scene. Like, she's very straight-laced. So maybe it is a good idea. She just goes back to her creepy home in Brooklyn Heights. I'd do it. I mean, I have the meanest cat ever. She would scare away any of those ghosties. But anyway, I'm going ahead of myself. So she comes back to her place, and as the movie trope goes, like, she doesn't suspect anything except in the middle of the night she hears sounds and shuffling around and noises. And then she meets Burgess Meredith and his cat.
And his parakeet.
And he's having a birthday party for his cat, and he's like welcoming her to the building.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
He's really cute. Everybody drink. So he shows up and he's got a parakeet and a cat. And I'm like, all right. He gives her a framed photo of himself, which I'm like, okay, sure. And I looked it up. I was like, this is 1 year after Rocky. And I was like, this is a year before my beloved Foul Play, where he also plays like kind of a nosy neighbor in Foul Play. So I couldn't help but smile when he showed up. I was like, oh. By the way, we will do Foul Play someday.
Yes.
Because a movie that logically I realize has not aged well, still have a huge soft spot. But so there's this whole thing, like, well, I'm like, we're gonna spoil it. Obviously, this movie's
Yes.
very, very old. So he shows up. He's like, "Nice to meet you. Here's a photo of myself." Blah blah blah. Then he like invites her, like takes her basically to his cat's birthday party, and because hey, people have birthday parties for their pets. No shame here from me for that. And she meets all these people, including, or wait, had she already met the lesbians? She's already met the lesbians at this point.
She already met the lesbians. So the lesbians are like her neighbors are. So it's Sylvia Miles and Beverly D'Angelo.
Yeah.
And that's Beverly
She's
D'Angelo.
Beautiful.
Oh my God. She's like in her 21, 22. She had done the show Hair on Broadway. And in Hair, they were nude on stage, and she did that like for 2 years or something. So she had no problem with nudity. So she's nude in this movie, and she's just she's in they're in like yoga gear, like leotard and tights.
Yeah.
And
by the way,
like
we're calling them the lesbians because that's what they're referred to in the movie.
They are referred to in the movie.
Yeah.
And they're sitting next to each other, and they're talking to Cristina Raines, and they're like, "Would you like some tea?" And they're being awkward, and Cristina Raines is kind of creeped out. And the whole thing is that they might be gay for each other. Ooh. And she's so uncomfortable.
Spooky.
And then Sylvia Miles leaves the room to make tea or something. And Beverly D'Angelo basically gives herself an orgasm right there.
Starts masturbating, like,
just
bam!
Starts masturbating right there within 2 seconds. Like, she's faking it for one thing.
Yeah.
But second, I'm like, Cristina Raines
faking it.
Faking it. Cristina Raines doesn't leave. She
just sits there.
She just sits there. I'm like, I don't know.
And rolls her eyes like, ugh, whatever.
She just freezes, I guess. She freezes. She doesn't know how to react. But from then on, they're just the lesbians.
Yeah.
It's not a great plot line.
No.
But so that's their, honest to God, that's the movie. That's their creepiness. And then she's like, oh, I gotta go. So so when Burgess Meredith shows up and then takes her to the party, the lesbians are there. She goes, oh boy. But then she meets the other people and they seem pretty nice. But everyone's just a little kooky.
Yes.
And that's sort of, you realize like, oh, that's just being in the apartment. They're just all a little wackadoodle. But look, it's only $400 a month. And it's a nice view of the city.
You put up with a lot for affordable rent.
Affordable rent and a furnished apartment, and it's all original, whatever. Yeah. So then there's one night she hears, walking upstairs, and she's really getting freaked out, and she grabs a knife, and this is when her father, just naked father, walks through the room, and she goes, ah, and she stabs him. And then she runs out of the apartment into the street, Montague Street.
Yes. And
then just yells, bah! And then her neighbors find her, and then they send her to the hospital.
Yes.
And so her boyfriend, Michael, is called, and he's worried about her. So they have these two cops, and one of them's Christopher Walken, and one of them is Eli Wallach.
Yes.
And they were the two cops that were suspicious. Don't be suspicious of Michael, because 2 years before they had a feeling his wife didn't jump the 59th Street Bridge, that she was pushed.
Yes.
And they were suspicious because Michael has this guy that's a private investigator, dirty cop kind of person that he calls. He's like, can you go over to that building and find out what's going on? Because my girlfriend said she stabbed a guy, but they can't seem to find anyone. So she's upset. She calls her real estate agent, Eva Gardener, and says, can we meet for tea? I'm kind of upset about the situation that I'm in. Mm-hmm. Eva Gardener says, so how's it going? It's been three days or whatever. She's like, well, there's dead people and lesbians and an old man that gives a party for his cat. But other than that, and she's like, what are you talking about? There's nobody in the building except you. Oh, we forgot to mention the Sentinel. There's a priest. There is a blind priest.
Yes.
Stares from the window looking out onto the city.
He's just sitting in the window, and and Ava Gardner's all, he's blind, and the woman's all, What is he looking at?
Well, what's he supposed to do? Just shut his eyes the whole time?
I don't know.
I don't
What
know.
is he looking at?
What
Why
is
is
he
he looking at the window? I'm like, maybe he wants to feel the sun. I don't know.
I don't
honey.
know. I don't know, honey.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he's looking out at the sun. So that's what Eva Gardener says. I don't know how to break this to you, but you don't have any neighbors. It's
The
just
phone
you
calls
and
are coming from inside the house.
right, right. Get to the door. So Eva Gardener goes, look, I'll show you. So they go back to the house, and then they go to all the different rooms of the other apartments, and they're all cobwebs.
Yeah, they're empty.
Yeah.
So here's where I have a question. So at one point, Burgess Meredith gives the framed photo to Allison, I think that's her name, and she leaves it on the bookcase or whatever. And the boyfriend comes over and he's like, who's this? And she's like, that's my neighbor. And he's like, he looks like a prune or something like that. If he's a ghost, what is it? Was the photo just there? Because it is a furnished apartment. So
right.
I'm like, maybe it already had the photo there and it wasn't like a gift from Burgess Meredith?
Unclear.
You're not clear?
Not clear.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's weird. That's all.
There's a lot of things that don't.
Because they're saying they're ghosts and that nobody can see them, but she clearly could see them. But there is this framed photo of him that the boyfriend actually saw and commented on at one point. And I was like,
Michael's evil.
But Michael is evil. Correct. That's true. Spoilers. Michael is evil. So. Yeah. Also, furnished apartment. So maybe it's nothing. But I was like, whatever happened to the It seemed like it was going to be a thing. And then it never is brought up again. And I'm like, okay.
So the apartment is supposedly empty. So it's just, which is something you think somebody would mention to you. Like, oh, you're just going to be, it's just you and the blind guy upstairs. Yeah. You think someone would mention that to you. But no. And so Michael then hires this private guy, Brennan. Brennan winds up dead in the Bronx, stabbed to death. And it's the same kind of blood that she has. There's no DNA evidence. It's just blood type.
Right.
So it's like, did she stab him and then take him to the Bronx? What's going on here? But Eli Wallach and Christopher Walken are there's something fishy going on. They don't trust this Chris Sarandon, right?
Yeah. Nor should they.
Chris Sarandon and William Hickey are breaking into the Catholic diocese.
I don't know how to pronounce that stuff.
I lapsed Catholic here. So she goes to a church and she confesses her sins to a priest, and he's basically turn your way to God, blah blah blah. Turns out that priest doesn't really exist, and Michael's following her around, and they eventually find out. He finds these that all these people, they're ghosts that are in her building, but they're all murderers and thieves. They're all ne'er-do-wells and they're all dead. And that the priest that's upstairs, that's the Sentinel, is going to die soon. Yes. And that he had also attempted suicide. And his penance before he dies is to be the apartment is a portal to hell, and it's to protect New York from hell, LOL. Because once again, this is New York in the mid-70s. It's not doing a great job.
He didn't do a good job.
Summer of Sam and what all, but okay. So but she's gonna disappear the next day. And so Michael's big idea, not to take her away. I'm going to take her to a party.
Right.
Make her stay till midnight.
Yeah, it should be fine. She keeps fainting everywhere she goes.
Right.
She maybe stabbed somebody and murdered them, but go ahead and take her to the party. She just needs to lighten up.
Yeah, and I love the modeling stuff.
Yes.
she clearly doesn't give a shit about her career. Like
No.
she shows up and like can barely handle like the dogs that are with her. So there's a wine commercial and Jerry Orbach is like, yeah, she just doesn't give a shit.
No, she doesn't give a shit because she has much bigger things going on.
Yeah, but she's also like, yeah, I'm beautiful. Like,
Yeah, whatever. I'll just get another job.
I'll get another gig. But she's going to this party and she's clearly like, she's deteriorating, but she still looks beautiful. I mean, she's a model, but she gets away from the party after midnight and goes back to her apartment. And she's just, once again, I'm telling you, this part of Brooklyn, there's tourists everywhere. Like how they don't have people there is beyond me. But she goes back to this apartment and Michael's going there to find out what the hell's going on. He's going to figure it out. And he realizes it's the portal to hell. And Burgess Meredith is going to try and stop his shiz.
Yes, and he releases all the demons.
And the demons, it's very upsetting because they have people in makeup, but also the director, Michael Winner, hired a bunch of people who had physical, I don't like the word, but abnormalities or just people with handicaps.
Yes.
All kinds of stuff, and just mix them together and said, these are demons.
Yeah, I'm like, not a cool way to do that.
No.
And to make people feel terrible about themselves.
Yeah, and then including also the lesbians and Burgess Meredith. Like, they're all kind of mixed in there. The priests from the church. They're all kind of mixed in together. And they're all, like, the priests from the church have this giant cross. And then Cristina Raines shows up. She's like, what the fuck? And then, and Michael's got, like, the half face, like, you know, from Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes.
What am I thinking of?
In Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, the end of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Michael's got semi like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, guess what? I hired this guy to murder my wife so I could be with you.
Yeah.
So I'm not a great guy. So actually I'm kind of dead right now.
And I'm going to hell.
And I'm going to go to hell.
Yeah.
And he says, why don't you come and join me? We'll be together forever.
It'll be so fun in hell. I heard it's so hot down there.
Feeling hot.
Hell,
hey, we're hot tonight.
Hot. Hell is so hot right now. I want to take you to the hottest club in New York. It's called Hell. It's got everything.
It's just you and me, baby. So he hands her a knife and he's like, come on. And you know you want to do it. And she's kind of struggling. And then the good priests show up and like say, no, this is your chance to clean your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And so she decides to grab the cross. And then as she sits in the seat, the old priest finally keels over.
Yes.
He's like, thank God.
Yeah. Phew, I couldn't do this for one more minute.
I could die now, finally. This is so boring.
I'm clocking out.
Check off. Right, exactly.
Check, please.
He's out. And she's sitting in the chair, and then they all go, and they go back in their hellhole.
Yeah, they're in there. She's the new Sentinel.
Right. And they're piecing out. And then, so the next thing we see is that the apartment has been refurbished. And it hasn't been refurbished. This building is still there. You can see it for yourselves. But they have a modern building in its place. And Eva Gardener is showing Tom Berenger and his wife this new building and all the modern fixtures. And they're like, ooh, this looks great. She goes, who else lives here? Goes, nobody yet. There's just a nun who lives on top of the top floor.
She's a recluse.
She's a recluse. And it's Cristina Raines.
Yeah, surprise.
And she's all like, but what's she looking at? And it's like,
why is she looking out the window if she's blind?
What is she looking at? And that's the end of the movie.
This movie is batshit.
It's batshit crazy.
It really is. It's a fun watch, and like everybody is played by somebody you will recognize, which is fucking rad. Like that doesn't happen. And I mean, this movie has a Jeff Goldblum just hanging out,
just being an asshole,
just
photographer.
Just being a prick. You know, it's got a sexy Christopher Walken just walking around, doing his walking, just walking. just doing his...
Eli Wallach, just being a cop, being a skeptical cop. It's got modeling. It has these Afghan dogs that just go crazy. It has, your night terror scenes. It has everything. It's got religion. It has just like, it's got just a little bit of everything, enough to scare like little 10-year-old Margo who caught this on TV.
For sure.
And shouldn't have watched it. It terrified me. As an adult, I remember like somebody told me like, oh, it's fantastic. There's the scene where the father shows up and she notices him, and that's a jump scare. Like as a kid, I was like, that's her dad. You can see the guy kind of head, like he bobs his head a little bit before he walks in, like 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's like The Exorcist light.
Oh, very light.
Like very light. I definitely imagine that this was hoping to ride on those coattails, like, and make a lot of money. Yeah,
like The Omen. I mean, that they came out just like a little while before.
I did it all for you, Damien.
All for you. Yeah. Which movie? That movie creeps me out still.
I have not seen it since like I was a teenager. But
yeah.
I'm like, that's another one that's batshit.
Yeah.
I like batshit though.
Yeah, I love batshit. And then this time of year too, it's just kind of perfect.
Yeah.
I like a New York story too. Yes.
For sure.
It does what it's supposed to do. I feel like it just is a good example of a New York thriller. It's I don't know. The location is great. The building is great. How they got permission to film in there, I don't know how, because it's also just real estate porn. Like how much do you want to just hang out in that building?
I do love real estate porn.
I mean,
well, and the way you love these kinds of movies that are filmed in your neighborhood because for obvious reasons. You live there. You love seeing how it looks in different times. It's the same reason I like to watch movies that were filmed in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like, look, we did a whole episode on Pacific Heights. That is not a good movie, but I will watch it right now if you put it on in front of me. Like, because, well, there's parts of it I like, but also, like, I just like things that are filmed in San Francisco because I think they're super fun to watch. And I get it. That makes sense to me. I think this movie's super entertaining.
It's very entertaining. It's a cheesy mid-70s, C-level horror flick with like, I think A-level actors.
So many.
And the story, I mean, like you said, like, did I read the book? Oh, fuck no. I mean, what am I?
No, but it's super entertaining. I was glad I watched it. It's definitely an October vibe. And I like 70s shit too. I just like the clothes and the look of it, and I like it.
If you come to New York and you're walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, you're walking around, the promenade, whatever, definitely take a tour around there. There's so many movies that are filmed around there, and they're just gorgeous, beautiful homes. And you see like the New York skyline and these gorgeous old homes. And it's just, it's so fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This was a good pick, I think.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you liked it. I was worried. I'm like, oh, what if she thinks it sucks?
No way. It's super entertaining. Do you want to hear some other movies that came out in 1977?
Hell yeah.
Okay. We've done some 77 movies before, so I tried to dig a little bit deeper. So let's see how many of these anyone will even recognize. Oh, you might recognize quite a few of them, actually.
Yeah.
The Exorcist 2.
The Heretic?
Or is that the third one?
Oh.
Let's see. The Exorcist 2. Let's see. You're right. You are right.
Thank you.
Good job, Margo. I heard people like the third one a lot, and I've never seen it.
I like the third one. Yeah.
I should watch it. New York, New York?
It's okay.
Okay. You Light Up My Life?
I hate that song so much.
It's so fucking
It's
shitty.
so
It's
sappy.
I hate it.
We had to sing that for chorus.
It's totally a choir song.
It's
yes.
Do you ever learn recorder? Do you know what a recorder is? It's like a cheap version of a flute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took recorder. We all did recorder lessons, and so there was a girl that had a really beautiful like soprano voice, and that was her favorite fucking song, and they all loved her. Ugh. So we had to do that, and everybody was rolling their eyes. It was like because like I said, like it was a few years after the song was a hit, so it's like nobody gave a shit about it anymore. So it was even more painful. Like people in the audience were like, "Oh no."
No, that was one of those songs that girls who thought they could sing, or they could, would sing in choir practice or at like school events or whatever. It was like "You Light Up My Life," and I want to say "The Rose" was one of them.
The Rose, some say love.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Anyway, "Oh God."
George Burns. And John Denver. Yeah.
Yes. I love George Burns.
Me too.
Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
That's a fucked up movie.
Yeah.
End story. That poor teacher. We should do that for What a Creep.
Oh, that's a great idea. Okay, we could watch the movie too.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Movie and real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good one. I have a friend, my friend Beegs. She loves that movie. Loves comes out wrong, but a fan. She has much respect for the movie Looking for Mr. Goodbar. Love makes it sound. She's like, it's hilarious. I watch it all the time. Like,
no, it's supposedly based on a true story, but it's actually they've fictionalized the details to the point like it's not even
right
close to it. Yeah.
Also 77. High Anxiety.
Not my favorite Mel Brooks.
Same. I wanted to like it more than I actually do. Airport 77.
Airplane is better.
Airplane is definitely better. I would watch Airport 77 with Calvin, who is obsessed with disaster movies, but we're going to get on a plane later this month, and I feel like it might be a bad idea. So we won't be doing that. 3 more movies. Slapshot.
I love Slapshot. That's one of my favorite movies.
That is super entertaining. And then Kentucky Fried Movie.
I haven't seen that in a while. I don't know if that holds up or not.
I remember seeing it on Showtime when I was a kid. I shouldn't have seen it.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the documentary Pumping Iron.
Oh, with Arnold.
With Arnold. Before he's a politician.
I like to get high. I think he said something like that.
I like your Arnold impression. It's really good.
Arnold? He's here? I remember Pump You Up on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I'm going to pump you up.
And I remember when he showed up on there. He's very funny.
He is funny. There's a reason Arnold Schwarzenegger is a huge star. Like,
if you watch Pumping Iron, like he is so charismatic. Like, who knew he would be, first of all, the governor of California, of all things?
That feels like it's like that should be a joke. Like, but it's a thing that really happened here.
And then he became a huge movie star in America.
Yeah.
And around the world. But like, it's, yeah.
Yeah, everyone here was making fun of, I forget. There was one of the elections, like everyone was like, way to go, Georgia, or something. And I was like, we all voted for Arnold Schwarzenegger. So shut the fuck up. Like, who are we to judge what other states are doing? We voted for the Terminator. By the way, I didn't vote for the Terminator.
Yeah.
I refuse to be lumped in with that, but we cannot judge. That's all I'm saying. Although he didn't commit like human rights violations or anything when he was governor. So that's pretty cool.
When he was governor, but when he was a movie star, he grabbed a lot of women.
He was grabbing them by the pussy. Yes, he was. Gross.
I made a baby with my nanny.
That's a really good impression. You've been practicing.
I have been practicing. Okay.
One of
do you want to?
wait, one of his kids is like acting right now, right? Was he?
Yeah, he was Patrick.
He was-
Patrick who was in the true crime movie?
Yeah, the Banner of Heaven. Is that what it was called?
No, he was in the one about the staircase.
Oh, it's just called The Staircase.
Yeah. Do you want to hear about the top 10 songs?
Yeah, I do.
So this was February 12th, 1977. The first one I don't recognize. The band is Bread. I remember that. Remember that was the Best of Bread? There was like Lost Without Your Love? I don't know that song. Okay. This song I do know. Kenny Nolan, I Like Dreamin'. My mom loved that song.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a mom song. Right?
It is a mom song.
I love this song. Stevie Wonder, I Wish. Stevie Wonder is a god.
Stevie Wonder, y'all start giving Stevie Wonder your love now.
Yeah.
Let him know how much you fucking love his music now. Just saying.
His 70s material is
so good.
Fucking phenomenal. Yeah.
So good. Y'all wait. You're all waiting. Don't wait until people die.
Sit on it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, this is the Jacksons. Enjoy Yourself. Not a great Jacksons song. It's fine. But
it's fine.
I love this song. Brick, Daz, Disco Jazz.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's
Good
a
song.
that's a roller skating jam right there.
That is a roller jam. I love this song. I won't sing it for you. Barbara Streisand, A Star Is Born, love theme from A Star Is Born.
Oh, yes. Come on.
Beautiful song.
Beautiful.
Yeah. This is an awesome song. Rose Royce, Car Wash.
Okay. Great movie theme song or greatest movie theme song?
It's one of the best of all time.
Love that song. Love it.
And they open the movie with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is also this is one of the best remakes ever. Manfred Mann, Earth Band, Blinded by the Light.
I love that song.
I like it better than the original, and I like Springsteen, but this is,
No, this one's way better. I love it.
Yeah. The Eagles, it's a twofer, New Kid in Town, Victim of Love.
I love the Eagles.
Me too.
I love the Eagles.
I know. Very white of me.
I know. I realize
them.
that it is like super like white lady of me to love the Eagles, but I grew up listening to the Eagles. Like my parents had all their 8 tracks.
Me too.
I know all of those songs. Still loved them. Loved like 80s Don Henley. I was all in.
I had such a crush on him.
I get it.
Yeah, he's hot. This song really sucks for many reasons, but number 1 song, Sonia. Mary McGregor, Torn Between Two Lovers.
Torn between two lovers. Feeling like a fool.
Loving both of you
is breaking all the rules. That song sucks. Why do we know all the words?
It was a TV movie. Do you remember that?
No. I don't remember.
It was actually made into a TV movie.
I just remember the song. It might have been on, I had one of those like K-Tel records.
Oh, yeah.
With like, it had all kinds of songs on it. It had like Devil Woman and like all that, the theme from like Welcome Back, Kotter. I think it might have been on there too. So
it was a hit. It was number 1.
It was.
I think this movie came out.
There you go. Good to know. Why don't we take a break and then we'll come back and talk about what else we're dorking out about.
I am dorking out about a few things this week. I wrote them down.
Nice.
So Great British Bake Off kind of had an off episode.
Okay, so it's Mexican Food Week.
Why?
Why would they do Mexican Food Week?
I would never expect decent Mexican food in England. I just wouldn't.
Also, it was just weird. Like one of the challenges was basically like make a taco. And
a
taco. They kept calling it a taco, which is really fucking annoying. But
they don't know how to say guacamole.
Yeah, one of the contestants was like peeling an avocado. Like that's just not how you deal with an avocado. It's like not what you do. But also just that doesn't seem like a baking challenge to me. I mean,
It's cooking.
the first challenge was like a sweet bread, and the final one was like a cake, like a milk cake. But the middle one was a taco. And I was like, how is that baking? That's not baking. And it's called the Great British Bake Off. I was like, what are we doing here? I was not a fan of this week.
No, and we would have talked before, like, I would love the gig of writing that opening segment. Apparently, they're both comedians.
They are, and I've seen them in funny things. Like, I like both of them very much. I do. I miss Sue and Mel, who used to do the host. Like, I loved them. I thought they were a fucking delight.
Yeah.
These guys they're fine. They're fine. I like them separately and other things they've done. But like the opening for this one in particular was pretty shitty. Like, you know, it's just like, we can't make jokes about Mexicans. It'll upset people. What are you doing? Like,
not even Juan. Like, that's, you know what? And that's like Muppet Show 1979 level.
Yes.
That's not even. And it's like, if you know it's going to be, it's not edgy. It's just lame.
Yeah.
You know? And it just was like, it's like these. Yeah. It just doesn't make. There are no countries in Europe that you could explore. It just seemed weird. They didn't know what they were doing. It's just, I don't know. It just was like a miss for me.
Yeah.
And somebody said like they once did one for Japan and that was just a big misfire, and this is a misfire. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm like,
negative.
They should just be a little bit more thoughtful about what you're picking. Like, were they picking it because they make it clear that Paul Hollywood had just gotten back from Mexico? So was this like something that he wanted because he had just been there? I don't know, but it also just didn't seem like there was just a challenge where I was like, this isn't even baking. Like,
no, it's cooking.
Those are
two different things.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't bake. I cook.
It's just, it just felt a little weird and off to me. But in general, like, I really like the contestants this season. I think they're all adorable. Everybody drink. Like, the casting on Great British Baking Show is always the thing. Like,
yeah. Look, I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah, for sure. And the people they pick every season, I'm like, yeah, these people are delightful. Like, I love all of them. Like, it's sad when they get eliminated. I feel bad for them. But maybe just be a little bit more thoughtful about those opening segments, please.
Yeah,
that's not too much to ask.
Yeah. Also, on Amazon, they're streaming Dallas, the original Dallas.
Shut up.
I know.
What?
I know. I slept in this morning because I was up till 2 a.m. last night.
You are hilarious.
Because I was like, what? Like,
I need to find out who shot JR.
Let me tell you, Patrick Duffy, Victoria Principal, the sexual chemistry between them, the hotness between them, it's off the charts.
Oh, all right.
They are so hot. I mean, but it's so funny because I forgot all about this because I was so young when this show happened.
Yeah.
I just, by the time Who Shot JR, it was all, going on. But when it started, Bobby met Pam like on a weekend trip or something like that. And then they just got married. And then Pam had been dating all these other guys. Anyway, it just was great. Anyway, but I was watching that. Anyway, streaming, if y'all are interested, Apple Plus, Jon Stewart. There's this clip going around today. So he has a show on Apple Plus, and he, I'm sorry, forget the name of it. But there's a clip going around today.
It's called The Problem.
Thank you. And he was talking to the Attorney General in Arkansas about gender surgery for teens. And it's a master class in debating someone who just, just shows up like not prepared.
I wouldn't even use the word debating. Like, it's a masterclass in how you interview someone, and that
yes,
he doesn't just let her repeat her shitty talking points. And
that sounds like a totally made up number. He actually says that to her. 98%. That sounds totally made up.
Like,
she
what?
Didn't even know what to say.
Yeah. What organization do you choose to side with over the American Medical Association?
She doesn't know what to say.
No, she doesn't know, because it's not about that. It's just about controlling people and this like bullshit culture war that we're dealing with. But and we've talked about this before about, like, I feel like reporters, there's a lot of really good reporters out there, but there's also a lot of lazy reporters out there that just repeat the things that people say or think that they have to get both sides to things. And it's like, you don't have to get both sides to facts.
Right.
Like, and that's what he's doing. He's like, well, actually, he's not actually, that makes it sound like he's being a mansplainer, but like, he's calling her out and saying, like, back that shit up with like actual facts. And she couldn't. And it was really, really well done.
And she said, like, I didn't think I'd defend myself on a Supreme Court level. I'm like, you're the goddamn Attorney General.
Also, bitch, watch the show.
Watch the show. And that's your goddamn job. And you have a lot of power. And you should be able to recall this shit on any level. Like, you're being interviewed. Like, you should be able to do it.
Yeah.
Fuck her. Anyway.
Seriously, fuck her. And fuck these people that just don't care.
No.
No, it's about winning. And they just want to win. They don't care about your kids or your money. They don't. That's it.
Switching to another topic.
Yeah.
Another rec. I really recommend this. Hulu, there's a show called The Reboot. And
Reboot. Okay, putting it on my list.
Yeah, Johnny Knoxville, Judy Greer, Michael Keegan-Key. They play these people that were on a very popular show in the early 2000s, and they're coming back for a reboot. And it's very, very funny. It's a great premise. Paul Reiser's in there. His daughter is the person that's in charge of the reboot, and she has like a strained relation, with her dad. It's really funny. I like it a lot.
All right, on my list.
And then I have just a few podcasts. Archetypes with Megan, and that would be the Duchess of Sussex.
Oh, yes. Oh, her.
Yeah, I've heard of her. So she has one, and it's called The Demystification of the Dragon Lady, and it's with Margaret Chow and Lisa Ling. And she's just talking about Asian stereotypes and how Asian women are stereotyped and breaking that stereotype. And it's excellent.
Ooh,
and Megan
I like that.
Has a great voice. She has such a warm quality to her when she's interviewing people. It's really an excellent episode. I really, really enjoy it. I can't wait to listen to more. There's a new show from the Daily Beast, and it's called The New Abnormal.
Oh.
And it's hosted by Andy Levy. And he's just talking about weird shit that's happening that's shouldn't be normal, and it's the new abnormal, and he's kind of taking that tact, like
writing that down.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying that. And for light stuff, Rabia Chowdhury, who we were talking about before, she has a new podcast called Rabia and Ellen Solve the Case. and she and another what she and Ellen do is they just basically they take on true crime cases and put their own spin on it. And they basically, in their first episode, the Lacey and Scott Peterson, they basically think that they proved that he didn't do it.
No, I'm unwilling to believe that, but I will listen to the episode.
Yeah. I haven't listened to it yet either, but I'm going to check it out. I've heard
There's no way. No, he's fucking guilty as shit.
I don't like him, but they're making the case that it wouldn't be possible in the time period. Which
I'm skeptical, but I will still listen. I will absolutely still listen. I've watched a few things on that case, and I'm like, I think he's super guilty, but I could be wrong. I'm not one of those people who's afraid to admit when they're wrong.
Right. We approach things with evidence.
Yes,
with
we do.
Evidence. We get new evidence. We have a new way of looking at things.
Yes, exactly. Did you see there's all these, I think it was there was one where Rolling Stone was like, because our president here, President Biden, did an executive decision where people who are convicted of marijuana crimes, they're like removing those charges from their record or whatever. And Rolling Stone's like, sure, he's doing that now, but he has a huge history of like being shitty on drugs. And it's like, hey, assholes, like he learned something clearly and changed his mind. Like,
yeah,
what the fuck? What? Sorry, he didn't like fucking dig in his heels and pretend that new evidence doesn't exist. Like, I was like, fuck off, Rolling Stone. Come on, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Did you hear that Moonlighting is coming back?
Yeah, is that the big news?
Yes.
Where is it coming to?
It's going to be on Disney Plus.
Oh.
And they're putting together all 5 seasons.
I loved that show.
I loved Moonlighting. Loved it. And I had such a crush on Bruce Willis.
We all did.
Yeah, we all did. I'm so excited. I got so excited when I saw the tweet that they were like, we're working on something. I was like, it better not be a reboot, you fuckers. I want to see the original. Because you can't stream it anywhere. Like, you can't even buy it, I don't think, on DVD or anything. So I'm excited. There's probably a lot of music stuff, would be my guess.
Yeah, they had a lot of music on that show. That and like Murphy Brown. There's a few shows.
Yeah.
30-something. There's like a few of them that had a lot of streaming. China Beach. Yeah, there's a few like I really enjoyed back in the day that you can't get because of the streaming issues.
Oh, and by the way,
music licensing.
I cut you off. Was that everything on your list?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to mention the show Bad Sisters on Apple TV.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna check that out tomorrow night.
It is a dark comedy thriller. It's developed by Sharon Horgan, I think is how you pronounce her name, and she did like Catastrophe, which I watched the first season and thought was really good. I just haven't finished it yet. And it's about like a group of sisters, Irish sisters, and one of the sisters has a husband who's just a real fucking creep. They call him the prick. He's the prick. And he does shitty things, and this is not a spoiler, turns up dead. He's dead in the second the show opens, he's dead. And it just doesn't seem as it's not as clear cut as you think about what happened. And so there's also these like insurance investigators that don't want to pay out, so they're kind of investigating the death. And then there's the interaction between the sisters. It's really good. It's funny, but it's dark, and I just really like it. It's super bingeable, and it's on Apple right now. And because I guess it came out a couple months ago, so there's already like 8 episodes up, and I'm like, yes.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. There's also, I wanted to mention Queer for Fear, the 4-part documentary series on Shudder, and it's all about the history of LGBTQ plus in horror and thriller movies.
I don't think the Sentinel did very well there.
No, I don't think it would either. I'll be curious if they get to it though.
Yeah,
because I've watched the first 2. They're showing one a week, so I've watched the first 2 already, and they talk about what it was like when movies first came out. The most recent episode talks a lot about Frank Whale, who did Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein and The Invisible Man, and the kind of gay subtext to the actual gay subtext to those movies. And then they'll move on to like alien invasions and vampire movies and things like that in this series. But I think it's really, really interesting. I like stuff like that. There was a documentary that came out, I think in the late 90s, called The Celluloid Closet.
Yeah, I saw that recently for the first time, I think since it came out. And it's kind of funny because I remember at the time it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it's kind of adorable now. It's like,
Yeah. Well, and I think there's also another one on Netflix, and I want to say it's called Disclosure, not the movie with Demi Moore and Michael Douglas. It's called Disclosure, and that's about like trans representation in movies.
yeah, that's a good one.
And that one's really good too. I think this one's really good. I think horror movies always explore a lot of different ideas. They're not just, I think when people think horror, they think like slashers and chainsaws. And I think that a lot of movies that are horror explore a lot of other things. So I think it's really interesting. I'm enjoying that one. And then, of course, I'm going to bring up The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Did you check it out?
Oh, yes.
This week?
Yes, I did.
So what did you think of the charcuterie boards?
First of all,
we're featured almost in every segment.
They're all obsessed with them. Of course they are, though. Like, if you go on TikTok, everyone and their fucking brothers are obsessed with charcuterie
and butter boards.
And butter boards. That's a thing.
Sounds disgusting to me. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that.
I didn't know this was a thing. Apparently this is a thing. You just like, you spread like this, like, I assume good butter, not just your fucking.
No, it's different kinds of butter, like garlic butter, and you dip your bread in there. But I was like, you're a vegan. You don't have butter.
I don't want it. No.
So you're not going to do either one. But I think these people are keto, so
yeah,
that's
a thing. But yeah, they're all obsessed with it. The show is just continues to be like, I mean, they're all high drama because they're fucking housewives and that's their job. There's some stuff in this one with Whitney that I was like, that's really sad. Like,
yeah, she made me cry. She was like, really, she's going through some shit.
Yeah, it doesn't seem made up to me. This seems genuine.
No, she's really going through something. So, but then Jen turns it around and then like is crying to her mother about how tough her life is. The mother that she borrowed $1 million from, like, drained this woman's life savings for her defense, which we all know she's going to plead guilty in about 4 months.
Because she's super fucking guilty.
She ripped people off her mother's age, for years because she's guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, but then at the same time, like, I think, they have a thing where they're going on a cast trip, and usually the cast trips are pretty nice.
Yes.
But this one they're going to Arizona, and I loved it because Heather was like, Arizona. It's right next to Utah. Yeah. It's just warmer. There's more white people, if that's even possible.
Heather's hilarious.
But then Whitney's like, well, we can't leave the country because Jen can't leave the country.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Jen's like, USA. Like, I love the way they edit the show. It's just brilliant.
Do they pay for these trips themselves or just because
Bravo does. For years, it was a whole thing because they make a big deal. Like, I'm planning a trip for all of you, and I'm going to pick your rooms. And they finally had to admit it, one of the Bravo cons, but now they pay for it.
Because it would be super fucked up if it's like your mom like drained her 401k for your defense, and then you're like, peace out, I'm going to Arizona. Bye.
Yeah, I'm paying for all these. And that house in Arizona was so ugly that the decorations, decor was like 1980s.
Yes.
Like,
who was it? Lisa that said like it was
Mary's house.
Yeah, it reminded her of Mary's house, and then they were all like it almost makes me miss Mary, and I was like, LOL, I'd totally forgotten Mary was even on the show.
And then there's the clip of Mary going, women,
meh.
women, meh.
Yeah, they cut Mary and they cut Jenny, and I don't miss them
no
at all. So it's fine. I'm fine with that. I think the show it's just super fucking entertaining. Lisa, like everything she says, I'm like, you're She's a bad person.
Her son that she gave a business to,
Yes.
basically, or she pretended she gave a business to.
Right.
And he's like, I'm not going to college. I've already got one business under my belt. I'm just going to do. I'm like, excuse you?
Yeah.
Like,
and she's like, I just don't understand where this is coming from. And I'm like, girl, have you been paying attention? Like,
yeah.
you handed him a business.
Right.
What? You think he wants to work for shit when you're just going to hand him things?
Right.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't. Look, I love fast food too. But like, she won't even work like to like make a fucking sandwich. Like, it's like, no, she just pay for whatever. She'll just pay for whatever. Like,
oh no, but Meredith and Whitney were like, I hear that Lisa does things.
Mhm.
What are you talking about for her business? Well, I don't want to say anything, but I heard she gives sexual favors for people to feature her tequila in their bar. Really? And then they go to a confessional. Well, I know somebody who's really rich, and they said that she gave him a blowjob to put her tequila brand in his bar. And then they come back like, but I feel bad about talking about her.
And then like Heather's like, they tell this to Heather, who has like had like a quarrel with Lisa since day one, and Heather's like, what, like fucking like the bartenders? She's like she just like immediately like takes it too far. It's so funny. Heather cracks me up. They're showing a preview for next week where Heather and Whitney are fighting. I'm not gonna like that. That's gonna make me mad, but it was bound to happen. Because I like it when they sit together. They're a little bit like the old men in the Muppet Show. Like they sit in the balcony and comment on people, and I like that, and I don't want them to fight. But it's also Real Housewives, so they're probably going to fight.
They get on each other's nerves, and they get drunk, and then they get into a scuffle.
Yes.
But then they make up.
Yeah, I hope they do. I don't want them fighting. That's not fun for me.
No.
I think that was everything on my list.
Yeah, I think we did a lot today.
Yeah, we did.
We covered a lot of things today.
We did. We deserve a break.
At McDonald's.
I want to go to like a 70s McDonald's, though.
Yeah.
Get myself a Shamrock Shake.
Oh, with the French fries dipping it in the shake?
Yeah, so good.
Oh, God, that sounds good. 70s prices. It was like 79 cents or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they started those family meals? Those little...
Yeah, the Happy Meals.
Happy Meals.
Yeah, those were a big deal.
We went to McDonald's like after church. Oh, it was such a big deal.
Loved McDonald's.
Ah.
I loved that. Loved it. It was my favorite. It's not my favorite now, but...
No, I'm sure it would make me poop, but not in a healthy way.
No, McDonald's is definitely not good for you.
No.
Come for the hot takes on fast food. McDonald's is not good for you. Margo, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Brooklyn Fit Chick. Also, that's my site, brooklynfitchick.com. And then I'm on TikTok at Margo Donahue.
And where can people order your book?
Anywhere where you get books. It's filmed in Brooklyn, and that's with Arcadia Press.
All right. Or books, as my son likes to say. Books. You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. If you like our show and want to give us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, that would be delightful. And I'll give you a shout out on the air. You can email it on the air. Why do I say that every time?
Every show does that.
We are not on the air. I'll give you a shout out on the show. We're not live on the air. Believe it or not, we're not live right now. You can email us at dorkingoutShow@gmail.com if you send us your address.
I'm still alive. I'm so tired.
We'll send you some stickers, and we take requests. So send us your requests. We love it. It makes our job easier if we don't have to pick. So please do that. Thanks for recommending The Sentinel for this, Margo. This was really fun. This was like a fun, scary movie month.
It was fun dipping into the 70s with you. This is my favorite little cheesy pick.
Okay, well, I'm going to go pick out a gift now for a cat birthday party I'm going to with Ed Date Murderers.
Oh, bring some lesbians with us.